The menu is a delicate, delightful feast that is built so well and oh so satisfying. Let's talk about it right now. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Your Pass. Today I'm talking about The Menu, which is coming to theaters on November 18th, 2022. It's directed by Mylod and stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, Ralph Fiennes, and John Leguizamo. My hot take is I think you should watch it. It is such a great film. It is a deliciously twisted film with wonderful components that come together to make just an altogether satisfying experience. It has some elements of horror, it has some elements of drama. It is altogether kind of sinister, but it is so well put together that I just love the entire film. I loved it from start to finish, and I left actually hungry for more. I watched it the next day after seeing it the first time because I just wanted to experience it again. So definitely watch it. It is a unique, interesting kind of film, and I'm gonna tell you a little more about the film, a few things I liked, and a few things I didn't like, and very briefly go into the ending. So if you don't want to know what happens in the film, turn this off when I get to the ending section. I'll tell you when I'm getting to there. I will keep it spoiler-free up until that point, but when I get to the ending part, there will be spoilers. So, in the menu, you have a young couple, Margot, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and Tyler, played by Nicholas Hoult, that travel to this exclusive island in the Pacific Northwest that's the home of Hawthorn, this like world-renowned restaurant where they charge $12.50 a head for this just dining experience. And the head chef, the kind of mastermind behind this, is Ralph Fiennes, who plays Chef Slowik. What starts off as just an amazing meal slowly starts to become a little more unsettling as different things happen throughout the night. And as the dining experience continues, you find out that maybe there will be something more happening, and I don't know, maybe everyone here will be getting just desserts. So things I liked about this movie. The first is the cast. I mean, the cast is just fantastic. I already mentioned you have Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, Ralph Fiennes, John Leguizamo, just a really good cast of characters. I really loved how the setup is, different groups of people. So you have this good cast, but then you also have just a great cast of characters. So you have just a smattering of very different types of people all coming together for this meal, and their different personalities mesh or don't mesh, and they kind of all make for a very interesting evening. As you learn more about these characters during their dining experience, it makes for some fun conflict and just some very interesting backstories. Second thing I love is the setting. I mean, this film is set on this Pacific Northwest island. It feels very isolated. It feels very beautiful. It just really feels like you're out here in nature enjoying this experience. But what I loved is that it does a really good job with this setting, whereas at the start, when you're out here, it's like a sense of wonder and this, being around nature and being around these amazing ingredients. But then as it gets darker, you start to see like the isolation and the fact that they're all stuck on this island. And you start to see this interesting contrast that the setting gives you just without even really trying. It's just so well put together that you just start to appreciate it. The second thing I loved is the music and the sound. I mean, it has a really good kind of orchestral music throughout. But when some of the more stressful moments happen, the music kind of builds. It gets into this kind of like cacophony of different sounds and kind of offbeat notes and things like that really kind of increase the tension and increase kind of the chaos that's happening. And then eventually all the sound will cut out, either because the chef claps for the next course, or maybe because you're trying to see a different perspective. And it just has a really good use of sound to keep you on edge, but then also help you to appreciate some things about this film. The fourth thing I loved is the mystery. You just really don't know what's going to happen in this movie. You get some senses, but the film does a good job of slowly building tension. You don't even really know there's a sinister component until a good way into the movie, and I love that. I love that about it. And the last thing I love is, look, the food. Like, it's a movie about a menu, and the menu is very interestingly put together. Like, the food is intricate, it looks delicious, and it all kind of fits with the overall story. I love that the film is broken up into kind of chapters where each chapter represents the dish that they're having at that time. And so you have amuse-bouche, and then the first course, the second course, and then throughout each of these courses represent something that's happening in the movie and some point that they're trying to get across. And I really loved everything about this. There really isn't something I didn't love about this film. So things I didn't love, nothing. I liked it. I like this film a lot. I really think it's well put together. It's one of my favorite movies of this year, and I definitely think you should check it out. So going into the ending, and this is where there will be spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happens in this film, turn it off now, because I'm going to reveal some things that happen in the movie, and you probably don't want to know because there are some really good surprises. So what you find out throughout the night is that every guest here, save one, has been kind of hand chosen by the chef to be there. They all have some sort of like slight that has happened either to him or who they represent. And you find out that this meal is has more going on than you would think. So like Nicholas Holt's character, who I love, he's this like super foodie who knows everything about food and is obsessing over the various dishes. And he does it to like an extreme degree, which I loved about his character. You find out that he was brought there because he represents like taking the joy out of the cook, taking the mystery out of the menu. He is able to explain everything. He's able to explain like the different flavors and things like that. And Chef Slowik just doesn't like that because he's kind of like dissecting everything and not just letting the food speak for themselves. You also have some of his patrons who have been there a lot. So there's a couple that's been there like 11 times, and he asks them like, what do you have last time? And they can't even articulate one of the things that they had. And so you get the sense that they are able to experience this amazing meal, but they don't appreciate it like they should. And then you have like a food critic there who started his career, but then also like caused him to get this insane drive for perfection that eventually made him kind of lose the love he had for cooking. And my favorite was John Leguizamo was there. He was an actor, and the chef just chose him because he had made a bad movie, and the chef didn't like it. And he was like, his one day off in a month, and he went to see this movie. And he's like, "This is a bad movie." So that's why he was chosen. And so you have these different characters all brought together for this meal where Chef Slowik is basically kind of like exposing all of them for what they are, but then also trying to burn down this thing that he has built that has now become almost like a giant albatross again around his neck. Like he has this drive for perfection, this need for perfection. It's kind of taking all the love out of his cooking. So the X factor here is Margot, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. She was a late substitute. Nicholas Holt's character Tyler originally had a different date, but then they broke up. So he hired Margot to come with him. So like from the start, you can get the sense that she's not supposed to be there. Everything is very tailored to the guests, but they don't know who she is. And so they keep kind of asking like, who are you? And like, where are you from? And like, why are you here? And you find out that she was just kind of a last minute substitute. I think because of this, Chef Slowik takes kind of a liking to her and tries to like have her choose. You find out, and again, spoilers. You find out that everyone on this island, including the chef and all of the sous chefs, everyone is going to die at the end of this meal. Like that is the kind of like the grand finale, is that everyone is going to die. And so Slowik isn't going to necessarily save Margot, but he's going to give her a choice. Is she going to die with the customers, or is she going to die with the chefs? Essentially, she can be a doer or a receiver. And because of this, she gets some kind of like special privileges, missions, things like that, things that she does that she's able to do that the other customers are not. And one of them is she has to go get this barrel. It looks like a big keg, essentially, from his house. And when she goes there, she basically sees his like inner bedroom, his inner study that has all of his awards. You see him, like essentially this intense chef, like all of his pictures, he has this like intense look on his face. But then she sees one looks like probably his first job. He's like a burger cook, and he got like burger chef of the month from this little restaurant, and he looks so happy. He looks so excited, and like he loves what he's doing. And this, I think, triggers something in Margot, a way for her to kind of try to escape this predicament. So she brings the barrel back. But throughout the night, she has not been appreciating the food like the others have. There's been some very interesting dishes, and everything she says, like, it's good, or like this is ridiculous. She's not wrong, but there looks like there were some pretty interesting food to try. And when she gets back, she tells the chef, like, you failed. I'm still hungry. He's like building towards this grand finale. Before the final course can kind of be prepared, she claps. So what's been happening during the night is that you'll have the chaos in the kitchen and the guests kind of wondering what's happening, and then before every course, Slowik will just clap, and that causes all the sound to stop. It's a really pronounced action that kind of grounds you again in everything and lets you kind of focus on what the chef is saying. So what she does is she claps, and she says, "I don't like your food and would like to send it back." The chef comes up and says, "I'm sorry to hear that. What about my food is not to your liking?" And she basically says, for starters, you've taken the joy out of eating. Everything has been an intellectual exercise. When I taste your food, it feels like it's made with no love. She says essentially like, you cook with obsession, not love. She finally says, and the worst thing is I'm still hungry. You know what I really like is a cheeseburger, which goes back to that picture that you saw. And the chef's like, essentially says like, well, we can make you a cheeseburger. We can make you a really good cheeseburger. And so he goes and makes her a cheeseburger. It looks delicious. It's very well crafted. It comes with crinkle cut fries. It looks very, very well made. And so he brings it back to her, and he looks happy about it. He looks happy that he made this, simple dish, but something that was made with love. And so she takes a bite of it and says, now that's a cheeseburger. But I think my eyes are a little too big for my stomach. Can I get this to go? The chef kind of considers this for a minute, considers it for a little bit. He brings her back the cheeseburger boxed up and a gift bag from the dinner. He says that'll be $9.95 because everyone has to pay for their meals. So she pays him, takes the food, and goes. Now, thankfully, she gets out. They let her leave. She gets to a boat and kind of starts to leave, because what happens after she leaves, the final course, the kind of climax, is they're going to have a take on the s'mores. And in this scene, all the diners are kind of sitting there. They're kind of resigned to their fate. They've tried to escape a couple times. They've tried to do things, and every time it's been thwarted. This entire meal has been kind of perfectly constructed. And so they sit there as the s'mores happen, and the sous chefs kind of pour graham cracker on the ground in this interesting pattern. They do chocolate and sauces around in this very intricate looking, beautiful setting, but the setting is the entire restaurant. Each of the diners get this collar thing of marshmallows around their neck, and then a piece of chocolate on their head. So you've got the graham cracker on the ground, the marshmallows, and the chocolate. And then the key to this all is, the chef has this speech where he says, the s'more is a comfort food, but it's really an abomination. You have, barely edible chocolate, gelatinized sugar, and industrial made graham crackers that are all thrown together and made with fire. And so the final part is the fire. And so he lights the graham crackers on the ground up, and they burst up in flames. Everyone starts to burn, and it is kind of a striking moment. It feels very much like the end of, and I'm going to spoil another movie. I'm going to spoil Midsommar. So if you haven't seen that, turn this off now. It feels like the end of Midsommar, where everything kind of goes up in flames. People are kind of resigned to their fate at this point, but you can see things melting. It's a pretty pronounced scene, and everyone in there just kind of sits there as the fire happens. Now, back to Margot. She's on the boat. She has escaped the island. She goes away for a little bit, although I don't think she fully escapes the island, because the island is close enough to mainland that she can get to the mainland. But at some point she docks. She eats her hamburger. She finishes up the hamburger. It looks really good. She wipes it with the menu from that night, and she looks back, and just all you hear is just an explosion as the restaurant Hawthorn explodes. And there you go. That's the movie. The final course had been served. Margot escaped. That's the menu. Like I said, it is really fantastic. I cannot do it justice. You just have to kind of experience it for yourself. It is just a really, really well put together, intricate kind of movie. There's so many little pieces that are put there to really kind of enhance the experience. Everything feels very well thought out. Just like, the idea of the menu, where it's this amazingly choreographed meal, the menu itself feels very, very well put together. So I definitely think you should check it out. It's coming to theaters on November 18th, 2022. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you, and bon appetit.